There is one question every caregiver has asked themselves at least one time. Most of us don't say it out loud, but it's always in the back of our minds. And that question is, what happens to my child if something happens to me? And when your child has medical needs and your child is not able to communicate or advocate for themselves, that question becomes even heavier. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Caregiver to Health Boss. My name is Michelle, and this is the channel where we talk about real life journey of caregiving, the emotional, physical, financial, spiritual realities of caring for someone that you love. Because caregiving is not just a role, it's a life. And today I want to talk to you about one of the hardest questions that caregivers carry. If you're a caregiver, especially a special needs parent, you know exactly what I'm talking about because caregiving means holding an entire system together. So, doctors, medication, therapies, equipment, insurance, school accommodations, and so much of that information, it lives inside our heads. But then the question becomes, what happens if I'm not here to explain everything? Who's going to know the medications? Who's going to know the routines? Who will know the little things that makes my child feel safe? For many parents of children with disabilities, this concern actually increases as their child gets older because caregivers realize that they may not always be here to monitor or advocate for their child forever. That thought can keep you up at night. So for me, that question didn't just come from theory. It came from experience. Our family has walked through multiple medical journeys. So from my daughter Jaira, who was diagnosed with cancer after having a stomach virus, my son Dallas, who has severe allergies, and his reactions generally close his throat from most things. And then my son Justin, who was born premature with cerebral palsy after he was diagnosed with CP after he wasn't meeting his developmental milestones. So that's three completely different diagnoses, three completely different journeys. And suddenly I found myself learning things that I never expected to learn between medical terminology, insurance systems, therapy schedules. I became what I call Mom MD, researching, advocating, coordinating care. But over time, I realized something. If something happened to me or my husband tomorrow, most of Justin's care plan was part of it was in my head and part of it was in my husband's head. Caregiving carries an enormous amount of emotional weight. So, studies have shown that parents who care for children with special needs often experience higher levels of stress, anxiety, burnout, all because of the constant responsibility and uncertainty. And one of the biggest sources of stress is future planning because caregivers know that their loved ones may depend on them for the long term. So that realization led me to create something called a Caregiver Continuity Plan because caregiving should never leave only one should never live in only one person's memory. A continuity plan documents everything that someone will need to know if they had to step in and care for your loved ones. So things like medical history, doctors and specialists, medications, therapies, daily routines, nutrition needs, emergency contacts. We often say that, being a parent doesn't come with a guide, but what if you could create that guide for the person who needs to take care of your child? It's not about expecting something bad to happen. It's merely about protecting your child no matter what happens. And that is exactly why I created the Care for Me Planner. It's designed to help caregivers document everything that someone would need to know about caring for your loved one. It's not just about medical details, it's about personal ones too. Like what comforts them, what triggers them, what types of food do they like, what types of clothes, what type of material, what helps them feel safe. Because caregiving just isn't about medical, it's also about personal. And planning ahead gives caregivers something incredibly powerful: peace of mind. If you're watching this and that question has ever come across your mind, guess what? You're not alone. Every caregiver has asked it. But asking the question and actually taking the first step to protect your child's future or your loved one's future is essential. So, planning doesn't mean that you're expecting the worst. Planning means that you're loving your child or loved one enough just to prepare. So if this video resonates with you, I want you to share it with another caregiver, another parent, because these are the conversations that we need to have. And if you're navigating a caregiving journey, make sure you subscribe to this channel, because here we talk about it all: the reality of caregiving, the systems that make life easier, and how you can become the health boss of your family. All right, caregivers, until next time.